Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. This time, we continue our journey through Chapter 2 of Mockingjay by Susan Collins. A sound escapes me, the same combination of gasp and groan that comes from being submerged in water, deprived of oxygen to the point of pain. I push people aside until I'm right in front of him, my hand resting on the screen. I search his eyes for any sign of hurt, any reflection of the agony of torture. There's nothing. Peeta looks healthy to the point of robustness. His skin is glowing, flawless in that full body polish way. His manners composed, serious. I can't reconcile this image with the battered, bleeding boy who haunts my dreams. Caesar settles himself more comfortably in the chair across from Peeta and gives him a long look. So, Peeta, welcome back. Peeta smiles slightly. I bet you thought you'd done your last interview with me, Caesar. I confess, I did, says Caesar. The night before the quarter quell. Well, whoever thought we'd see you again? It wasn't part of my plan, that's for sure, says Peeta with a frown. Caesar leans in to him a little. I think it was clear to all of us what your plan was. To sacrifice yourself in the arena so that Katniss Everdeen and your child could survive. That was it. Clear and simple. Peeta's fingers trace the upholstered pattern on the arm of the chair. But other people had plans as well. Yes, other people had plans, I think. Has Peeta guessed then how the rebels used us as pawns? How my rescue was arranged from the beginning? And finally, how our mentor, Hamish Abernathy, betrayed us both for a cause he pretended to have no interest in? In the silence that follows, I notice the lines that form between Peeta's eyebrows. He has guessed, or he has been told, but the Capitol has not killed or even punished him. For right now, that exceeds my wildest hopes. I drink in his wholeness, the soundness of his body and mind. It runs through me like the morphine they give me in the hospital, dulling the pain of the last weeks. Why don't you tell us about that last night in the arena? Suggests Caesar. Help us sort a few things out. Peeta nods, but takes his time speaking. To tell you about that last night, well, first of all, you have to imagine how it felt in the arena. It was like being an insect trapped under a bowl filled with steaming air, and all around you, jungle, green and alive and ticking. That giant clock ticking away your life, every hour promising some new horror. You have to imagine that in the past 2 days, 16 people have died, some of them defending you. At the rate things are going, the last 8 will be dead by morning, save one. The victor. And your plan is that it won't be you. My body breaks down in sweat at the memory. My hand slides down the screen and hangs limply at my side. Peeta doesn't need a brush to paint images from the games. he works just as well in words. Once you're in the arena, the rest of the world becomes very distant. It continues. All the people and things you loved or cared about almost cease to exist. The pink sky and the monsters in the jungle and the tributes who want your blood become your final reality. The only one that ever mattered. As bad as it makes you feel, you're going to have to do some killing, because in the arena, you only get one wish, and it's very costly. It cost your life, says Caesar. Oh no, it costs a lot more than your life. To murder innocent people, says Peeta. It costs everything you are. Everything you are, repeats Caesar quietly. A hush has fallen over the room, and I can feel it spreading across Panam, a nation leaning in toward its screens, because no one has ever talked about what it's really like in the arena before. Peeta goes on. So you hold on to your wish. Now last night, yes, my wish was to save Katniss, but even without knowing about the rebels, it didn't feel right. Everything was too complicated. I found myself regretting I hadn't run off with her earlier in the day, as she had suggested, but there was no getting out of it at that point. You were too caught up in BT's plan to electrify the Salt Lake, says Caesar. Too busy playing allies with the others. I should have never let them separate us. Peeta bursts out. That's when I lost her. When you stayed at the lightning tree, and she and Johanna Mason took the coil of wire down to the water. Caesar clarifies, I didn't want to. Peeta flushes in agitation. But I couldn't argue with BT without indicating we were about to break away from the Alliance. When that wire was cut, everything just went insane. I can only remember bits and pieces, trying to find her, watching Brutus kill Chav, killing Brutus myself. I know she was calling my name. Then the lightning bolt hit the tree, and the force field around the arena blew out. Katniss blew it out, Peeta, says Caesar. You've seen the footage. She didn't know what she was doing. None of us could follow BT's plan. You can see her trying to figure out what to do with that wire. Peeta snaps back. All right, it just looks suspicious, says Caesar. As if she was part of the rebels' plan all along. Peeta's on his feet, leaning into Caesar's face, hands locked on the arms of his interviewer's chair. Really? And was it part of her plan for Johanna to nearly kill her, for that electric shock to paralyze her, to trigger the bombing? He's yelling now. She didn't know, Caesar. Neither of us knew anything except that we were trying to keep each other alive. Caesar places his hand on Peeta's chest in a gesture that's both self-protective and consolatory. Okay, Peeta, I believe you. Okay. Peeta withdraws from Caesar, pulling back his hands, running them through his hair. Mussing his carefully styled blonde curls, he slumps back in his chair, distraught. Caesar waits a moment, studying Peeta. What about your mentor, Hamish Abernathy? Peeta's face hardens. I don't know what Hamish knew. Could he have been part of the conspiracy? Asked Caesar. He never mentioned it, says Peeta. Caesar presses on. What does your heart tell you? That I shouldn't have trusted him, says Peeta. That's all. I haven't seen Hamish since I attacked him on the hovercraft, leaving long claw marks down his face. I know it's been bad for him here. District 13 strictly forbids any production or consumption of intoxicating beverages, and even the rubbing alcohol in the hospital is kept under lock and key. Finally, Hamish is being forced into sobriety, with no secret stashes or home-brewed concoctions to ease his transition. They've got him in seclusion till he's dried out, as he's not deemed fit for public display. It must be excruciating, but I lost all my sympathy for Hamish when I realized how he had deceived us. I hope he's watching the Capitol broadcast now so he can see that Peeta has cast him off as well. Caesar pats Peeta's shoulder. We can stop now if you want. Was there more to discuss? Says Peeta wryly. I was going to ask your thoughts on the war, but if you're too upset, begins Caesar. Oh, I'm not too upset to answer that. Peeta takes a deep breath and then looks straight into the camera. I want everyone watching, whether you're on the Capitol or the rebel side, to stop for just a moment and think about what this war could mean for human beings. We almost went extinct fighting one another before. Now our numbers are even fewer, our conditions more tenuous. Is this really what we want to do? Kill ourselves off completely in the hopes that some decent species will inherit the smoking remains of the earth? I don't really... I'm not sure I'm following, says Caesar. We can't fight one another, Caesar, Peeta explains. There won't be enough of us left to keep going if everybody doesn't lay down their weapons. And I mean as in very soon. It's all over anyway. So, you're calling for a ceasefire? Caesar asks. Yes, I'm calling for a ceasefire, says Peeta tiredly. Now, why don't we ask the guards to take me back to my quarters so I can build another 100-card houses? Caesar turns to the camera. All right, I think that wraps it up. So back to our regularly scheduled programming. And I'm going to stop that here. I've been actually trying to decide to go on another paragraph or two, and I think that's a good stopping point. Woot. And since I do have a strict sort of spoiler policy for this of not going further on along in the book, and this is, big spoiler, I'm not going to say exactly why I read Peeta's lines like I did. I admit I should have practiced a little bit more, just, the effect I was going through, because I wasn't just reading the words on the pages, I was going with stuff I knew that happens later on. and then, you know, having my voice and tone fit that too. So yeah, again, I'm not going to save my thoughts on this chapter until I finish reading this chapter. Yeah. Hot chocolate, sorry. Yeah. So, update on Silene. She's now in the little vet hospital. Long story short, so hopefully she's getting better. They're basically doing things that make her active, make her bite the other vets. And just like, yeah. And also she's doing good. It's just the underlying problem needs to be solved, and we need to figure out what that underlying problem is. And Loki, her cage mate, is in. I got a little mirror, and I've been playing a recording of Silene's voice so that he can hear and respond to that. And we even got him a little mirror. And tomorrow we're going to visit Silene so that we can get some fresh new recordings to do. Yeah. So here's to Silene's health constantly improving. And oh god. Okay, if you this is the take a shot moment, and you know I've lost my old shot glass, haven't replaced it yet. So if you drink alcohol and if you're of age, get your favorite alcohol or whatever's lying around, maybe a beer, maybe vodka or whatever, and take a shot with me. And if you don't drink alcohol for whatever reason, you know, take a shot of water or milk or Gatorade or whatever. And I'm drinking sake, and I'm just going to drink a little since I don't have my shot glass. So here's to Silene's continuing health. And if you want to get the book for whatever reason, say you want to read it without my interpretation of the text, and mind you, even though I'm reading from the book, how I inflect certain words, pauses I take, can be different than that in the book. So if you want to read what's actually there, or you just want to read it without my annoying voice, ta-da! But even if you think my voice is annoying, please continue watching the videos on this channel. Thank you! And, or if you want to read ahead, if you're like, I can't wait to see what happens next, and even though I'm going to continue watching the videos, I do want to, see what happens next beforehand so I can, so you can get the best of both worlds while not having to wait, but still watching the videos. So, yay! So if you want to buy the book and still support me, the link to Mockingjay book is in the description. If you're watching on the YouTubes, if you're watching on my blogging blog, it'll be under the bloopers. Hey, and yeah, I'm going to be adding one more extra day this week for dramatic readings just because this chapter is a little bit longer. Yay! Oh god, I don't know how that came out. So, until next video, goodbye.